So Dakota Meyer came out with a video on Instagram saying that he doesn't like people who didn't serve in the military to train in gear, wear gear, and then post it on Instagram. So let's talk about this. But real quick, before we jump into this video, if you think that the Second Amendment protects your right to own, possess, and wear and do whatever you want with these items, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. I also want to give a shout out to one of the main sponsors of the channel, that is USCCA. Through your membership, you get training, education, and self-defense liability protection. So if you carry a firearm concealed, I highly recommend you look into USCCA, and I'll put a link to them down in the details section. So like I said in the intro, pretty much Instagram blew up this last week because of some statements made by Dakota Meyer and him saying that he didn't like people wearing the various forms of gear, training with them, and then posting pictures of themselves on Instagram. And so I'll put a link down the details section below to the video that Dakota Meyer put up that I'm going to be referencing in this video. But I kind of wanted just to give my opinion on the statements he made and kind of walk through the perspective of an attorney, a Second Amendment advocate, a 2A attorney, and kind of where I think his arguments fall short under our Second Amendment rights. So first and foremost, who is Dakota Meyer? Well, I'm sure I can't sum up all of who he is, but in the most basic forms, he is a retired Marine and he is a Medal of Honor recipient, and he is pretty big on social media as well. He's been on various podcasts like the Joe Rogan podcast, the Jocko Willink podcast. He's a pretty big influencer now. Now, the video in question happened last week, and so I'll just kind of read to you some quick summaries of what happened in this video and what was the whole premise behind this video. The title of the video was Sick of the Guys That Play Warrior on IG. So that was kind of the little caption he put on the video he put out. This video was very short, about 1.5 minutes, and I guess it was after he was working out. And it was pretty much him ranting about how he doesn't like how various individuals who haven't served in the military go on Instagram, post pictures of them training in various forms of gear. I'm assuming things like body armor, night vision, helmets, various forms, camo, I think he even mentioned as well. He doesn't like individuals doing that and then posting it on Instagram. He made statements saying that if you haven't served in the military, don't do these things, and acting like you have served in the military. Don't act like you're an operator. And also he said when people do stuff like this, they're pretty much dressing up for Halloween. And so I want to walk through this. And so I think first and foremost, we have to go directly to the source. What does the Second Amendment say about our rights? And so here it is: a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And so let's walk through some of those main points, and I'm going to give some context based on case law, as well as some quotes directly from our founding fathers on this right, and how does this apply to what Dakota Meyer is saying in his video. So first and foremost, what are arms? What is the Second Amendment, and what arms does it protect? Well, the Second Amendment is not limited just to firearms. The Second Amendment protects all other things as well. It includes things like body armor, night vision, helmets, and camo as well. All these things that Dakota Meyer is taking issue to in his video. And this point is summed up in Heller, the Supreme Court case that we have and the precedent we have from the Supreme Court in interpreting the Second Amendment. And I'll read to you directly here some language from Scalia in his opinion in Heller. He states that some have made the argument bordering on the frivolous that only those arms in existence in the 18th century are protected by the Second Amendment. We do not interpret the constitutional right that way. Just as the First Amendment protects modern forms of communications, the Second Amendment extends prima facie, which means just on its face, to all instruments that constitute bearable arms, even those that were not in existence at the time of the founding. So the Second Amendment protects all bearable arms, even if they didn't exist at the formation of the Second Amendment, in the writing of the Second Amendment. So bearable arms would include things like plate carriers, war belts, if you want to call them those, or range belts, ballistic helmets, night vision. All of those bearable forms of arms are included in the Second Amendment. It is not just firearms. Now let's move to the right of the people. And when the Second Amendment talks about the right of the people, what is it referencing? Let's go directly to what the Founding Fathers said, as well as what the Supreme Court has said about this. And so here are some quotes from some of the Founding Fathers around the time the Second Amendment was written. This one coming directly from George Mason. He states, "I ask, who are the militia? They consist now of the whole people except for a few public officers." So this is going to the point of some people have argued in the past that the Second Amendment only covers the militia, which we'll talk about later, but was completely rejected. And that is not what the Second Amendment covers. It does not cover just the militia. It covers all individuals. Now let's look at a quote from Richard Henry Lee on this issue of the people. He states a militia, when properly formed, are in fact the people themselves and include, according to the past and general usage of these states, all men capable of bearing arms. To preserve liberty, it is essential that the whole body of the people always possess arms and be taught alike, especially when young, how to use them. So that'll go to a point later about Dakota Meyer kind of taking issue with people training with these items, then putting it on Instagram or having these items and training with them, saying, hey, this should be left only to people who've served in the military. But here you have the founding fathers saying the people are the individuals protected in the Second Amendment. This is a right of the people, not just to the military, and these people as well should be trained in these bearable arms. Now let's look at a quote from Samuel Adams. What he states is the Constitution shall never be construed to prevent the people of the United States who are peaceable citizens from keeping their own arms. So again, the broad classification of people in the US are the individuals protected under the Second Amendment. It is not just the military. Now let's look again what the Supreme Court has said about the term people in the Second Amendment. This is again coming from Heller, and this is coming from Scalia's opinion. He states, the people seems to have been a term of art employed in the select parts of the Constitution. Its uses suggest that the people protected by the Fourth Amendment and by the First and Second Amendments, and to whom rights and powers are reserved in the Ninth and Tenth Amendments, refers to a class of persons who are part of a national community or who have otherwise developed sufficient connection with this country to be considered part of that community. So the people, what he's saying there, are citizens of the US. That is who the people are. He then goes on to talk about what the militia means. He states, this contrasts markedly with the phrase the militia in the prefatory clause. As we will describe below, the militia in colonial America consisted of a subset of the people, those who were male, able-bodied, and within a certain age range. Reading the Second Amendment as protecting only the right to keep and bear arms in an organized militia therefore fits poorly with the operative clause's description of the holder of the right as the people. And so there he's saying that the people is the larger class of individuals that the Second Amendment right is in, and then the militia is a subset of the people. But the right is not just of the militia, the right is of the people. Normal individuals like me and you who haven't served in the military, the militia, whatever, the right is of the people. Now let's talk about what to keep and to bear means in the Second Amendment. The keeping is the right to possess something, and again, we can go directly to Heller v. DC and Scalia's opinion, where he clarifies again what keep arms means. And it's very simple. This is a quote coming directly from Scalia. He states that keep arms was simply a common way of referring to possessing arms for militiamen and everyone else. So it is again a right of the militiamen and everyone else, the broader people, the right to possess these items. Now let's look at the issue of what to bear means. Again, coming from Heller, again coming from Scalia. At the time of the founding, as now, to bear meant to carry. When used with arms, however, the term has a meaning that refers to caring for a particular purpose, which is confrontation. Although the phrase implies that the carrying of the weapon is for the purpose of offensive or defensive action, it in no way connotes participation in a structured military organization. So under the Second Amendment, your right to bear is your right to carry, and that right to carry these bearable arms is not tied in any way to military service. And now lastly, when you look at probably the main issue that Dakota Meyer seemed to be taking issue with, which was people wearing these items, wearing this gear, training with it, then posting videos or pictures or whatever on Instagram. This really, I think, goes to the issue of what well-regulated means in the Second Amendment. So let's go to one of our founding fathers and our first president. What did George Washington say about what well-regulated meant? He stated, a free people ought not only be armed, but be disciplined. And let's go to what James Madison said. He stated, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. A well-regulated militia composed of the body of the people, trained in arms, is the best and most natural defense of a free country. And I think that sums up perfectly the issue that people are taking with what Dakota Meyer said. So to be well regulated, in which the Second Amendment calls every person in the US to be in bearing these arms and keeping these arms, to be well regulated means to be trained, to be prepared, to be disciplined in case of confrontation with another individual or with a tyrannical government. And this is the most natural defense for a free country. This is the best way we can protect our country, is for the people, the normal individuals, the non-military individuals as well, to be trained, to be proficient with these items so that they can protect our freedom. And if you needed any more authority, you again can go to Heller and what Scalia said about what well-regulated meant. He stated, finally, the adjective well-regulated implies nothing more than the imposition of proper discipline and training. So again, well-regulated is all relating to training, discipline, having these items that are protected under the Second Amendment, that you have an inherent right to, and that the Second Amendment protects you and protects those rights against government overstep. Having those items, training with them, being disciplined in them in case you need to actually defend yourself or defend your country. So what's the takeaway from this video? Well, I don't think Dakota Meyer is a bad guy by any means. I think he's a patriot. He's a Medal of Honor recipient. He's served our country, and I cannot thank him enough for that. I just think maybe he was frustrated with something he saw and just put out a video and didn't fully think about what he was saying. But I hope that this video helps clarify some of those points. Maybe it'll get to him, maybe help him understand some of the issues that people on the 2A advocacy side are taking with what he said, and maybe even educate him a little bit about what the Founding Fathers said, what the Supreme Court has said, and also what the Second Amendment means and some of the language that is included in there, and why the people, the non-military individuals, why they're taking issue with what he said. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and comment down below and I'll try to answer the best of my ability. Also, if you guys like this video and like support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification bell because that helps the channel analytics and helps us spread the word about the Second Amendment. So as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and never forget this nation was built by armed scholars and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.